Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Mukakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Dawah from the Men of Valor camp here in Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video on sincerity and in truth, and Lord willing, it can be edifying. There's been some news as of lately that apparently Trump has he got on the phone with Putin, and they're talking about peace talks as far as Ukraine and everything. And we'll see. All right, I got the article pulled up right here. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna start off with that. We'll see. All right, because we know ultimately that there's not gonna be any peace. All right, that the Lord is preparing these nations to fight in World War III, and one of America's biggest enemies will be Russia. All right, so that even if there is some peace talk that struck up or whatever, all right, as the scriptures say, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So, we do have that aspect, but we also know that Ukraine isn't necessarily the major front in which World War III is going to be fought. All right, it's one of them. All right, it's one of the fronts, with NATO and Russia, because they want that region. But ultimately, we know that World War III is going to pop off in that Levant region, all right, the so-called Middle East, all right, which is Western Asia. All right, so let's get into this. Let's, read through this information and bring out a couple scriptures, and Lord willing, it's edifying. So this is ZeroHeads.com. European leaders freaking out over Trump-Putin summit. Dirty deal for Ukraine, all right? So also you have NATO and the EU, which are America's allies. America has been on this America First campaign since Trump got elected, and he's even been threatening to put tariffs on the EU countries if they're not pulling their weight. All right, so they're gonna start making enemies of their allies, man, and that's according to the scriptures as well. But also, the ones that their enemies that they're trying to make peace with are gonna remain their enemies according to the scriptures. So Russia, China, they're gonna remain enemies. Trump isn't gonna be able to nurse this economy back to health, so to speak, with America being on top. All right, these other countries, they just don't want to deal with America being at the head, the helm anymore. So we'll see. But it says European leaders are freaking out at the speed at which President Trump and Putin are headed towards a summit to talk Ukraine peace, following their 90-minute Wednesday phone call, the first known contact between the two since Trump took office. Zelensky, too, is loudly demanding that nothing be agreed to without Ukraine's direct representation and input. Hey, and there was a brother that did a video. I forgot which brother in particular, but he was going into the whole World War III thing, and he was going into the fact that although Ukraine is not a NATO member, they wanted them to be a part of NATO, but they don't necessarily have to do that because hell, they're already giving them millions and billions in ammunition and arms and money to help fight against Russia. All right, but ultimately they want the raw materials that's over there in Ukraine. All right, so that it's always a business deal going on, So it says, let's see. He also asserted that in any negotiations to end the war, Kyiv's European allies must be at the table. Reuters has characterized a scramble to get a seat. Defense Secretary Hegseth's Ukraine bombshell of ruling out future NATO membership in statements yesterday have also left the Europeans reeling, right? So they said that, Ukraine isn't going to be a part of NATO, but hell, they don't have to be, all right? If they're getting, aid from America and, NATO and the EU, then, it's just as good, all right? They're really a member by proxy. It says, there's also Trump's blunt Monday words to Fox, wherein he said of Ukraine, they may be Russian someday, or they may not be Russian someday. The hits keep coming, and without a doubt, European officials are anxiously on edge over what Trump might say next. Right, that nigga just be saying anything out his mouth, man. All right, he was talking about taking over the Gaza Strip, and his administration is having to go behind him and kind of clean up his shit because he just be talking, man. He be making moves. It says European leaders warned the United States on Thursday against sealing a Ukrainian peace deal with Russia behind their backs as they scramble for a seat at the table. As Donald Trump spoke to Vladimir Putin and announced the start of negotiations, the fresh Reuters report indicates. One would think that simply ending the killing would be prime and paramount. Instead of shouting accusations of Trump supposedly going behind Europeans' backs, instead we get statements like, "It is clear that any deal behind our backs will not work. Any agreement will need also Ukrainian and Europe being part of it," European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said. All right, so that's the sentiment of America and the sentiment of its allies, and like, hey, we don't want to get cut out, because once again, Trump is coming with this America first mindset, and although that might be enticing to Putin and Russia, all right, it's not going to be because of the former administration, pulling NATO, the EU into this war, the Nord Stream pipeline being taken out and shit like that, and a lot of natural gas not being sold from Russia to Europe, who relies on it, because America's not going to give Europe natural gas. All right, so you can see how this is going to start pissing, NATO and the EU. All right, the beast system. All right, and America being that whore that rode upon the scarlet colored beast. All right, they're starting to hate the whore, man. So we'll see what comes of this, but let's keep going. It says, why are we giving them, meaning Russia, everything that they want, even before the negotiations have been started? Been started. Kallas posed amid a meeting NATO defense minister with Ukrainian officials in Brussels. It's appeasement. It has never worked. Any quick fix is a dirty deal, said Kallas. And France, too, is warning against peace through weakness. Lithuania's military, too, has said Europe must not, under the illusion that Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin are going to find the solution for all of us, according to Defense Minister Deval Sakhalin, however you say that, Sakhalin, I don't know how to say that. It says a fresh FT report also sounds the alarm, with the Europeans worried over what Trump will extract from them. It says more than half a dozen senior European officials told the Financial Times they expected the U.S. president to tell them they must pay for Ukrainian reconstruction and deploy troops there to maintain the peace deal in which they would not be involved. See? So basically, they try to tell them, hey, y'all need to see y'all troops to go help them now. All right, we got to back up out of this shit. See that? See how America they about to snake their own homies, man. It says the Americans don't see a role for Europe in the big geopolitical questions related to the war. It's going to be a real test of unity, said one senior EU official. Trump sees us as money, and frankly, we haven't been clear on what our seat at the table would look like in exchange for that money. See? All right, so you got division. And what did Yahushua say? A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. All right, so even the beast system is beginning to be divided amongst itself because America is trying to hold on to that power and is eating itself from the inside out, man. Even snaking their own allies so that they can, try to keep the upper hand, man. All right, they know the European they're really small fries when it comes to it. Russia is a big hitter. They want to be at peace with Russia, but ultimately the Lord is going to put the spirit on them not to be at peace. It says a Wednesday night statement produced by Germany, France, and the UK and other European allies said, we want to discuss the way forward with our American allies. Ukraine and Europe must be involved in any negotiations. They are also angry that Washington already gave Moscow a major concession before peace talks even began, taking NATO membership off the table. However, it's long been clear to all that this is a non-starter for Putin and chief cause of the war. So White House strategy appears that it has to go big just to ensure that talks could get started fast. So they saying, hey, basically not by them denying NATO membership to Ukraine, that's basically taking the biggest chip off the table, because that was the biggest thing. If you go into the history of this war, that's pretty much why the war pretty much started. All right, NATO, which is spearheaded by America, they want to put, they got all type of labs and shit in Ukraine. they wanted to build nukes and point them at fucking Russia at Russia's border. And Russia was like, nah, we're going to defend ourselves. So if they didn't already say, hey, we're not going to let their ass become a member, that was one of the key things as far as why that war even started. Now it's going to be over the land and the natural resources. And if Putin is one of Putin's demands, because if you go into probably any Scott Ritter video, he's come out and said that Trump doesn't have any real leverage. He doesn't have any leverage in this whole thing. Putin has all the leverage. They can continue to fight this war. America has no real vested interest outside of the natural resources that it can gain, by doing this. Russia's in for the long game. They want that region, and they'll continue to take, Ukraine, and ultimately they'll have control over those resources, man. So, we'll see. Once again, it says it's unfortunate that Trump has already made public concessions to Putin before negotiations have even begun. Germany's defense minister Boris Pistorius said Thursday it would have been better to talk about Ukraine's possible NATO membership first at the negotiating table, he said from Brussels. Putin is constantly provoking the West and attacking us again. No, it's the other way around, really, if you go into it. But, we're not on Russia's side either. But Russia's going to play a really key role in World War III and in the destruction of America. And that's why, these talks and these negotiations are so important, something to look out for. It says it would be naive to believe that the threat will actually diminish after such a peace agreement. And that's the spirit of these damn Edomites, man. And once again, the Russians are Edomites as well, man. And that's once again Satan being divided against itself. Meanwhile, in Munich, security conference kicks off Friday, which will include the attendance of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and the President Ukraine envoy Keith Kellogg. The Ukrainian and European allies are hoping to get more immediate clarity from Vance on the way forward. So yeah, that's the article. It wasn't a super long, article, but some good information, that came forth of it. And, once again, all these talks and whatnot, they talking about peace, and the scriptures say that they shall seek peace and there shall be none. All right, destruction is at hand. The Lord is telling the mighty men to wake up, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Joel, the 3rd chapter. The Lord is preparing these nations for war. Here it is, they're talking about peace, but they're continuing, to mass produce. Russia's continuing to mass produce these Orishnik missiles and whatnot, and giving similar technology more than likely to North Korea, China, and even Iran. All right, so even if these peace talks so-called go down, and they back out of this Ukraine conflict, all right, because they done with Ukraine. Once again, the real key thing will be now America trying to take over Gaza and Israel going at it with Iran, which is going to pull Russia back into a war, which is ultimately, if Russia gets pulled in and NATO is still America's still part of NATO under Article 5, Europe is going to have to fight against Russia any fucking way. So it doesn't matter, man. The Lord set this up beautifully. Okay, so let's get some of this in Obadiah, all right, because it speaks about we'll get into it. Obadiah 1, and I actually want to let's start at the top, man. All right, because we prophesying against these devils. The Lord said, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. All right, because we're against these Russians. We're against all these Edomites, man. All right, but we know, we want Russia to be the bear that the scriptures say that they're going to be, and be in that old Soviet mindset, so we can get this shit popping, so we can get up out of here, so prophecy can be fulfilled. So it says Obadiah 1:1. It says the vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord, power concerning Edom, which is the so-called white race. We have heard a voice, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. See, and really, and America being the spearhead of that, they're becoming despised, man. Especially these small hats, man, who try to lay claim to, everything in the world, try to, claim themselves to be holy, say that they're better than everybody. And now these nations are taking a stand when it comes to this whole Gaza thing, and they're trying to move all those Palestinians out of that area. Verse 3, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground, right? And that's The spirit of these Americans, that's the spirit of these devils. All right, nobody's going to bring us down. Nobody's going to be able to topple us. All right. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, all right, and it's the spirit that, the national bird is the eagle. They got the eagle on the, on the flag. When you see Trump in his press conferences and whatnot, their symbol is that eagle. That's these devils. It says, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. And the Lord is in the process of bringing these devils down. All right, he said what? The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Now, we got to understand that time moves differently in where the Heavenly Father is, man. All right, 1,000 years is a day to the Lord. So in all actuality, it's been less than 100 years since World War II ended. All right, so that's a very short time, and the Lord is already starting to, bring World War III to pass, which is going to end in thermonuclear destruction, man. And we know for a fact, according to the scriptures, that America is going to be utterly burned, and also our land, all right, the land of Israel, is going to be burned and cleansed. All right, we're going to rebuild that, but America's not going to be rebuilt. All right, and there could be different other places on the earth that gets hit, but ultimately America is still going to be here. There's not going to be a nuclear annihilation like these people try to make it seem, right? So let me skip down. Verse 7, it says, actually verse 6, it says, how are the things that Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Right? The skirt is being lifted. All right, this devil's being exposed for the devil that he is. And that was part of end time prophecy as well, that the Lord was going to consume this devil with the spirit of his mouth and destroy him with the brightness of his coming. All right, we're in the time now where he's being consumed with the spirit of the Lord's mouth. All right, we're prophesying against this devil. We telling these devils what they're gonna do before they do it. Like, hey, there's not gonna be any avoiding World War III. There's not gonna be any peace talks. All right, Isaiah the 13th chapter speaks about the Medes speaking about Russia that are not gonna regard gold or silver, man. So they're not gonna regard no peace treaties or no shit like that, man. And if they do have one, it's gonna be like all the peace treaties these devils have done before, and break them, just like these ceasefires. They keep breaking them, So we'll see. But this devil's own tactics is going to lead to his demise. So verse 6 again, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. All right. So if there is a scenario where Putin, does have some peace treaty or something with America and shit, all right, they're going to be deceived ultimately. All right, same thing with these other, with Ukraine or wherever, with China. All right, they're going to be deceived and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in them or in him. So these people that, once again, any peace treaties. All right, that's why I wanted to bring this scripture out in particular. Any type of peace treaties is really going to come to naught, man. Once again, let's go get this. First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. All right, because we know what time we're in. All right, these devils could get on the news tomorrow and say, oh, Trump talking all this and that, talking about, hey, we about to have peace with Russia. All right, we know according to the scriptures that no, you're not. No, you're not. Like that damn TikTok. No, you're not. All right. Verse 2, it says, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. It's going to come as a snare, and as a thief unto these people because they're not watching. All right. But the Lord said, blessed for your eyes for they see and your ears for they hear. All right. We're on our watchtower. We're watching for these things, man. Even these little talks that go on. All right. They are newsworthy, noteworthy, because we know according to prophecy that it's not going to come to pass, man. All right, these peace talks. It ain't going to be no world peace. It won't be world peace until Israel is back on top. This devil was created to take peace from the earth. Verse 3, it says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So we already know this scripture, and we know we've been on point so far. When they be talking about these little peace treaties and ceasefires with Hezbollah in Israel and shit like that, and we know it don't even be lasting that long, man. It's not in the spirit of this devil to want peace. Okay, And if he does want peace, he's lying. All right, he's a damn liar. All right, but Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Karkudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Till next time, Shalom.